Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we are talking about the latest Marvel release, which is Captain America: Brave New World. Sorry, I thought it was a new world. Brave New World. And so this is the next installment with I'm trying to remember his name, Anthony Mackie as Captain America, Sam Wilson. And from the previews, right, the exciting thing was that we were going to see, in my opinion, Red Hulk face off with Captain America. So that's kind of the excitement that I had going into this film. Also, just seeing Harrison Ford being Harrison Ford. I think he's an amazing actor. He did really good in this movie, in my opinion. But we are here to tell you our thoughts that are non-spoiler. Then we're going to give this movie a rating, and then we'll talk a little bit more about spoilers. So, um, I can kick it off, and I would just say that I thought the movie was pretty average. I think the things that I was hoping to see, the majority of that excitement was already in the preview. I knew that there was going to be a face-off with Red Hulk, which was definitely the best part of the film. There was going to be some, I would say, crazy politics type stuff because we know just from the trailer that, somebody tries to assassinate Harrison Ford's character, um, Ross, and then they're trying to find out who it is. And somewhere along the line, we have this Captain America versus Red Hulk scenario. So,
I have a question for you.
yeah,
Have we seen um the Ross character, the president character in previous films and I just don't remember him, or was he a new character in this film?
I don't think he was played by Harrison Ford at least. Um, because he was referring to different things of the past.
Yeah, they had
Um,
some flashback sequences of, like his history before he became president, and I was like, huh, I wonder if this is something that I'm supposed to know or not. Because personally, I don't know that I've seen any other Captain America movies, or if I have, maybe only one of them. Um,
was played by a different actor.
Gotcha.
So the
Okay.
character was in it in other movies, but Harrison Ford playing the character, no.
I gotcha.
Which I wish he would have been that person all along, but it
I
is what
think
it
he
is.
did a great job,
Yeah.
personally.
Overall, though, I think the movie was pretty average. I feel like aside from the excitement from the trailer, there's not much other excitement that there is in this film. This film, even like I said from the trailer, you're kind of trying to find out who is behind all this stuff, and then how in the world does the Red Hulk play into things? And honestly, I felt like the reveal of what was going on with that was kind of boring. Um, the hidden villain that's pulling all the strings. I just thought the character was boring. I'm not going to say who it is. We're going to save that for the spoilers. But I just thought that character was kind of boring. They themselves didn't have much of a presence. I will say it is a villain from a previous movie. I didn't know that right away. I had to look it up. I was just kind of wondering, has this like Sarah with Harrison Ford's character, did this character ever pop up in the past? And the character did pop up in the past, but honestly, they didn't stick out enough for me to remember them at all. So. And honestly, if this character is going to be some sort of big part of stuff moving forward, I think that's going to be kind of a boring progression. But um, so yeah, I feel like the true villain in this movie was pretty lackluster, but Marvel knew that everybody was going to want to see Red Hulk fight Captain America. So that's what the big thing was. I feel like if they would have advertised who the main villain was, people wouldn't have gone to the theater. I don't think so. But what did you think?
Like you, I think it was pretty average. There wasn't anything that really blew me away. I feel like the trailer gives you a really good sense of what kind of action you're gonna see, and there's some decent action points throughout the film, but I don't know. It didn't seem super believable to me. Like it was almost a little too easy with a lot of the fights. It didn't. there weren't any moves that really wowed me. It just seemed pretty typical or average, I guess is the word of the day for this. I will say, and you tell me if we should save this for spoilers or not, but there is a line in the trailer that is not said in the movie.
What was that?
When Harrison Ford says, you're no Steve Rogers, in the trailer he goes, "You're right, I'm not." And in the movie, he doesn't
Oh,
say anything.
yeah, that's true. I was about to say he definitely said the line about you're not Steve Rogers, but yeah, that follow up, you're correct. That was not in there.
I thought that, so when that happened, I was like thinking in my head, sometimes when you know a movie well enough, you can almost like mouth the words right along with them. I was waiting for him to say it, and then he just didn't say it. I'm like, well, that was like a letdown. That was kind of weird. Like that was supposed to be like a powerful moment, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder because, I mean, not only that part, but there's also a lot of other parts in this film that seem like they were trying to clean the film up later. Like there's some really bad green screen towards the end of the movie, and whether or not that was a reshoot thing or if they just really botched it when they filmed it, um, you know, that kind of plays along with it because maybe that was in the film for the longest time, and then when they had screenings and they were showing it to the people at Marvel, they're like, cut that part out, kind of a thing, and it eventually didn't end up in the film. So that could also be why some of the other stuff is kind of messy. I will say one of the things I think that Marvel used to hit used to hit on all cylinders was some of their comedy in the past. And here I feel like it really sucked. The
It was
comedy,
forced.
yeah, like I feel like if I was in that scenario and, joking around with my buddies, even the characters kind of seemed like when they would laugh at their jokes, it was kind of like a courtesy giggle in a way. Like it wasn't actually funny. It was just, laughing with your friends because that's fun. So as an audience member, I just thought it was kind of like, oh, I mean, I guess he ha ha. But at the same time, it's nowhere near what it used to be. And that could be from the writing, very much so. But like I said, I will say this movie, I feel like Harrison Ford stole the show. And so I don't know if maybe that also says a little bit about Anthony Mackie's version of Captain America, because I feel like he should be the center stage of this movie. And if I'm not wrong, I could have sworn I thought I read somewhere that Anthony Mackie was a producer of this film. I'm gonna fact check that real quick. Yes, he's an executive producer on this film. So if you're an executive producer, I don't see why you would let your character, which is supposed to be the center of the film, like take the back seat to somebody else. Let alone, like you said, with some of the action sequences, some of them were kind of boring or forced. They were just kind of put in there to progress the story a little bit.
I
And
feel like his character in general felt that way. And it's probably a good deal to do with the script. Like things just didn't seem natural. So I'd say between the script and maybe reshoots, because there were some other issues where it seemed like they'd show one camera angle and the person would have a certain expression on their face, like maybe a little bit happy or like, playful. And then they show a different angle and they're completely serious with no transition in between. Almost like they did two different takes and just smushed them together, not really caring if the like facial expressions match between the two.
yeah, they're really hoping the audience doesn't pick up on it. But, we've seen so many movies since we've started doing this on YouTube that we're starting to pick up on that stuff really quickly. And then we let all of you know because Hollywood needs to do better for the amount of money that they make. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that, I didn't really enjoy, I would say in general, Captain America isn't my favorite superhero, whether it's um
Steve
the
Rogers or Sam Wilson.
correct. So, I mean, there's that, but at the same time, I was hoping even maybe with a change between Steve Rogers to Sam, that maybe Sam would have some different sort of life in the character. And honestly, I just felt like it really wasn't there. So
I think Ruth,
I think it kind
Ruth,
of
yeah.
sucks that Mackie didn't advocate for more of his for his character. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think Ruth Bet Seraph, I think that's her character name, the like really scrawny girl that's part of the president's like main security group.
Yep.
We've seen her in the trailer and stuff. It's so weird to see somebody so tiny be so powerful, like from a physical standpoint. Um, and they kind of explain why she is that way, but it's still, I don't know, just she it's weird. It's just odd. I don't know.
It
I don't
was
know
a
why I
little
brought it up.
it was a little odd. I will agree with that. Like at times, and it could have just been the way that things were being filmed, but there were times where it almost looked like she was computer generated to be shorter at times. It's just the way that the film looked. And
Yeah.
so whether or not that's actually what happened, I doubt that's what happened, but it looked kind of funny at times on screen.
What'd
Or
you think
maybe they were
of
trying to make her look taller in some scenes. I don't know.
what'd you think of Giancarlo? Because I know you and I are a big fan of his.
Actually, one second before we get away from that topic, what if what if some of that problem is a stunt double? Like what if the stunt double was a little bit taller or something and that's what kind of messed with it?
It
I
could
don't know.
be.
But it makes me wonder. Um, Giancarlo, so yeah, he's in the trailer, so we can definitely talk about him. I thought his character was okay. I really wish that he would have had more, because we like him so much. I wish he would have had more screen time, had a more compelling character, but really he just kind of like his character was important, but at the same time, he just kind of seemed like he was a stepping stone for a plot that nobody cared about during the movie. Like we all want to see Red Hulk. We all want to see, who's the person behind it. And like I said, unfortunately, that was kind of a flop. But with such a big name like Giancarlo's, I really wish he would have had a better character or written better, something better to do. I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, his character was a minor presence, I guess, in the film, but I feel like he at least held his own and had a presence when he was on screen. So I thought he did an all right job, at least for the character he was given.
I think him as an actor did a great job. I just think his character sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if I were to give this movie a rating, I think I'm gonna sit at a five. I think this movie is average at best. Truthfully, I think this is way more of like a Disney Plus drop. Just because I feel like this movie, like I feel like Marvel wanted a Captain America movie. They were wondering how do we make it exciting, and so they, factor in the Red Hulk. Like I said, what really sucks is that the Red Hulk really isn't like the main baddie, and the main baddie sucked. So it seems like a main baddie that would be a Disney Plus baddie, but I don't know. I miss the old gang, needless to say.
I am also sitting at a five, so this is going to be a pair of fives for us. It's a pretty well, the word of the day, right? It's a pretty average film. There wasn't anything that really wowed me, but it was okay. I don't think it really sucked because I'd scored a lot lower if it was like horrible. Then I at least made it through without thinking like, oh my gosh, well, I'm ready to leave. One last thing I'll say before we get to spoilers is I think it's really odd the name they gave this movie. They say, most movies they'll say like a one-liner or something that kind of relates to this film and or to the title of the film, and they do that in this one too. But it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really have a ring to it. It doesn't really fit the film, I don't think, as far as like what the film actually is. It's almost like the dawn of a new era, right? Like it sounds so cliche to say, but that's I think the vibe they were trying to go for, and I don't know, it doesn't. I feel like it's a title more for the future and less for what the movie even is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask you, what the heck does a Brave New World mean here?
I think their line that they said or something it was something along the lines of we're entering a brave new world because of the antimonium and how we're gonna deal with that. Um,
Adamantium?
huh?
Adamantium?
Yes. I probably said it wrong, but yes.
Yes, you did.
I think that's the idea of the brave new world is how we're gonna deal with that as a world and try to keep peace and not fight and stuff like that. But that, I mean, I guess that's kind of the premise of the film. I don't know. It just the characters that we're focused on, it doesn't really it's not the Avengers, like it's not the side team or whatever. I don't know. I don't feel like it really vibes with what the movie is focused on or what the audience would want to be focused on.
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue what it would really refer to. Um, I
Well,
mean,
this film
there's a post credit scene that kind of talked about, like new worlds in a way, but I think that would be a stretch.
What I'm referring to is that throughout the film, they show kind of like news broadcasts, like, here's what the president's up to now, or whatever. And in one of those, they said that they're entering a brave new world as they, signed a treaty for peace or something like that.
Interesting.
That's the one-liner that I'm referring to.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I just kind of let it be, in my opinion.
It
But
was it was a news tagline.
all right, we're gonna head over into spoilers here for a second. I think I'm gonna do this a little differently. I'm gonna tell all of you who the main villain is right now. Our main villain's name is Samuel Stearns. If you're like me, you're probably thinking, who the heck is that? If you're like really into Marvel movies, you probably remember who he is. Um, I had to look it up. This is a guy that was in some of the past Incredible Hulk films that had to do with like the scientists behind some of the stuff involving the Hulk. So that's kind of where he's in the mix of things, like as far as the Red Hulk connection. Um, but as we know from the trailer, this movie is about, there's this meeting at the White House. Somebody tries to assassinate the president, and then so Captain America, it's his job to potentially solve the problem of what's going on here. And then, we find out what goes on with the Red Hulk. So what I would say is, the movie opens up with just, an action sequence of Captain America, and supposedly there's this group that's led by Giancarlo's character, where they're trying to steal this adamantium. If you do not know where that has been referenced before in the Marvel Universe, that is the metal that is the claws of Wolverine. His claws are made of adamantium. Um, and so they're trying to steal it, so Captain America goes in with his trusty sidekick, Joaquin Torres. He's kind of the up and coming Falcon for Marvel. And
He
so they,
reminded me so much of Tom Holland.
same. Like when I was watching the previews, I was like, is this Tom Holland? Like, is he going to make an appearance? But nope, it's just somebody that kind of looks like him.
And sounds like him and has the same humor as him.
Yeah. So, of course, they get the stuff back, and Uh, Giancarlo's character's name is Sidewinder. He is taken into custody. And so then we have this big celebration about it at the White House. So Sam is invited to go. Well, Sam and Joaquin are invited to go because they, got this adamantium back. And Sam is showing Joaquin, who is the person that he can be trained by to become a better Falcon, and he introduces him to his friend Isaiah, which is a former super soldier test subject. I did not remember this character in the past. If he's been referred to in the past, I don't know. Um, but Sam wants Isaiah to go to the White House with them. He wants him to make amends with President Ross because they've had issues in the past. Isaiah was locked up in jail for years for something that he did, and I think he kind of blames it on Ross. So they all go to this meeting at the White House, and in the middle of Ross's speech, Isaiah stands up with a gun, tries to shoot him, and then I'm being careful with my words. I don't know if YouTube, would be upset about this kind of stuff. But uh, tries to shoot him. He doesn't. He misses. And then, of course, Isaiah is taken back to jail because of what he did. But what everybody is starting to piece together when they go through the footage from that night is that something seems up with Isaiah. And so they backtrack in the day, and supposedly he was looking at his cell phone and a light flashed in his face. There's other people there that also tried to, kill people that were there. And those same people also had something going on with their cell phone where a certain light flashed in their face.
You know
So
what I thought was really weird about this is they were going through the footage and they found that, but he was not like a Secret Service member or something. There was no reason for him to have a gun on him in the first place. I I I can't believe he didn't say like, but how did I get a gun? Because I don't believe he brought it there. So who put it in his pocket?
that's actually a good point. Yeah, you'd think he'd question that.
But nobody does. You're
Right.
just supposed to pretend that that doesn't exist. He brought it apparently.
Yeah. From all that stuff, they believe that there's some sort of mind control going on because even Isaiah, all he can recollect from what happened that night is that he showed up at the White House, and then before he knew it, he was outside with, the police pointing guns at him. He didn't understand what happened in between those two. Um, So it's kind of up to Sam to try to figure things out. Also, Ross wants Sam to help him piece the Avengers back together. Um, However, through all this stuff, some tensions rise between Sam and Ross, and that's where we get the scene where Ross tells Sam that you're no Steve Rogers, and this is kind of their splitting. Like Sam is now off the case about what happened at the White House that night. And so it's left up to the Ruth character that Sarah was referring to before. She's kind of in charge of trying to figure out what's going on. But Sam doesn't want to be left out, in the dark about things. So he's kind of doing his own investigation of what's going on. Um, they track some secluded area. I think it was Virginia where it's like a military base that's really off the grid. And so Sam and Joaquin head over there to try to investigate what's going on. And they find out that there's a whole bunch of files of different people, which are the people that were, messed with at with the mind control at um, the meeting at the White House. They see like pictures all over the place of those people. Specifically, we see Isaiah's picture. And this is where we first meet our villain. So he comes out and he's basically, I don't remember his exact monologue, but we kind of learn that, he has a beef with Ross as well. He's been imprisoned basically, but there's something that Ross made a deal with him about, and he's not 100% giving all the information about it. Um, Trying to remember what exactly happened in that meeting because there's two separate meetings that kind of blur for me. Do you remember any other special information from that particular meeting?
Just that he was basically a science experiment and he was supposed to be let go, but he wasn't, and so he's I think trying to seek revenge.
Yeah. So from there, uh, Captain America and Joaquin Falcon, they fight their way out, but eventually they get caught by Ruth and the police. They get taken into custody. But then, right before that's about to happen, they hear. So, this mind control thing can either be from the video or there's like this little song that plays. And Captain America hears that song about like he's that's playing on a radio, one of the radios of the officers. And so he tells Ruth like, "Hey, you better uncuff us right now because something's about to go down." And um, she complies and they get out of there. Um, Giancarlo's character, Sidewinder,
Sidewinder.
we see him again a little bit later. As Sam is trying to piece things together, randomly we see Sidewinder find him in the road. He just starts shooting at Captain America while he's in his truck. He blows up the truck, thinking that he killed Captain America, but not quite because he got out, which he must have gotten out like immediately because his clothes looked like that nothing happened to him. I was watching for that potential, making sure things add up, but um, I'm just gonna tell myself he got out immediately. So they duke it out. Sidewinder gets arrested. So now he's in jail. Um, Somewhere along the line, President Ross is going over to Japan to talk about this big peace treaty that they've all been talking about and also how to disperse the adamantium. That way it's not just one central country that has it. Even our allies have it access to it too. And things are tense between Ross and the Prime Minister of Japan. He has no faith in Ross when it comes to this stuff. So there's tension between the two, which kind of leads to our first major action sequence. Tensions are pretty high between the US and Japan, and like they got battleships right next to each other. And our bad guy, Samuel Stearns, he uses his little mind control on two of the American pilots to fire upon the Japanese battleships, which, provokes the Japanese to tolerate or to retaliate. And so that's where Captain America and Falcon come into play, where they're trying to alleviate the tensions. But also in this whole process, we eventually find out between an interaction between Ross and Sam what's going on with Ross because Sam actually knows that he's taking these little pills every now and then, and they even send him off for a sampling to see what's in them, and they find out that there's like an extreme amount of like gamma radiation. And so what we find out is that the reason why Samuel Stearns is, still around is because the deal that Ross made with him is that supposedly his heart was giving out and he needed some sort of medication. And so Samuel Stearns made a medication for him to help with his heart problems. But what he didn't tell him is that he was sneaking in more and more gamma radiation as time went on. So even though he was helping Ross live, he was also slipping the Red Hulk into his system, um, which even throughout the film we see Samuel Stern like provoking him, like telling him to get angry and give in to being upset with the people and being frustrated. Just let it all out, become the Hulk basically. Um, so we see that also. Um, but it's not until towards the very end where the president goes to give a speech, things go wrong. We actually I thought it was pretty interesting that's basically what's in the trailer is like the very final segment when he's giving the speech, he turns into the Red Hulk, and then of course Captain America has to save the day to, you know, take down this Red Hulk. The way that he eventually does take him down, because even though people are shooting him with bullets and they're not penetrating his skin at all, we learn that Captain America's special wings have, material from Wakanda that can stab through Ross's or Red Hulk's skin. So that's essentially how he ends up taking him out, is he stabs him in the gut, and then he comes back down to size, and then he's arrested and put in jail. Both him and Samuel Stearns. That's kind of a quick rundown of what happened in them. in the movie. Is there anything super important that you think I missed? I mean, he
I'm
goes,
just gonna touch on a couple of the side characters.
yeah,
So Ruth Seraph, we learn at some point during the film that the reason why she's so strong is that she's like from the Black Widow agency, if you will, the training facility. So she was trained just like our standard Black Widow character. Say standard, be not standard, but like our main lady that we know as Black Widow. I
Scarlett
think we're kind of,
Johansson.
I'm sorry, what?
I said Scarlett Johansson.
Yes. Um, we're kind of piecing together that that's, I guess Black Widow is what they're all called, I guess.
Yeah.
Because she was also trained as a widow. And interestingly enough, before this film, we saw a preview for Thunderbolts, and one of those characters apparently also came from the Black Widow Society or group or whatever. So I think we're going to see more and more of that. What happened to Joaquin Torres or Falcon when they were fighting in the water and they were trying to take out those two rogue pilots? He tried to take out one of the missiles and I guess miscalculated how he was doing things because him and Sam were both going after it at the same time, so it kind of blew up. And I'm gonna say temporarily stopped his heart because I think they even used those words, but he is alive and well now. He's just gotta heal up and train. And then Isaiah Bradley, what happens to him, right? So at the end of the film, he gets released from prison. Sam's like, "Oh, I told you I'd get you out." He's like, "Well, what took you so long?" Um, so he's now out too and back to being a free man because, again, he didn't do anything. He was really kind of just being held in jail because the president didn't want to reveal who the real villain was because he needed access to those pills, right? So he was kind of being blackmailed. I think that's really kind of the end of it. Like I said in our beginning part of this, the whole Brave New World thing that's said in a news segment because, everybody's at peace and there's no war. And so now they're just trying to figure out what to do with what's it called?
Adamantium.
Yes, thank you. That. They're just trying to figure out what to do with that so that everybody's at peace with it.
There is one more side character I want to bring up. I hope maybe I misheard you, but I don't think you brought it up. Um, there is like a 2 minute, I would say fairly big quote unquote cameo.
Oh, yep.
I was kind of hoping for a bigger one if there were going to have a cameo. Um, but uh, Bucky, pretty sure that's his name. He makes a small appearance. He makes an appearance so after the battle with the battleships, right, where Captain America and Falcon go in there to try to stop the Japanese and the Americans from fighting. During that skirmish, Falcon gets hit, like he loses a wing and he falls down to the ocean because he goes to stop a missile and basically it explodes right in his face. And so while he's in the hospital and Sam is kind of watching over him, Bucky comes in to, give Sam that inspirational speech to have him ready to keep on keeping on, even though his buddy's, got a flesh wound. So, um, even even that cameo, like people in the theater laughed. So like Bucky gave this whole speech, and Captain America was basically like, someone wrote that for you, didn't they? And it just everybody laughed, and I just thought it was just kind of stupid. It was just like you said, it's forced comedy. It didn't seem like very natural, but I don't know. I was hoping for something better if we were gonna get a cameo appearance. And I mean, he's in the Thunderbolts movie, so and honestly, I'm just not the biggest Bucky fan. I know there's people that absolutely love him, but I will say it was not a cameo appearance where I heard the theater gasp or anything like that. Like I remember going to see Star Wars movies and people were like, or a lot of clapping happens when they see some big character come up on screen.
Even
Um,
think of Deadpool and Wolverine when we got to see like Gambit and all those other characters.
yeah,
The theater just erupted by people being so excited.
right. So perfect example. So I just feel like it definitely fit the film where I felt like it was kind of boring and flat, but I don't know. I guess if you're a big Bucky fan, maybe you enjoy that more than me.
I guess it was neat to see him, but I don't really think what he said was super inspirational or funny. It just kind of was, he was there.
I suppose maybe it makes more sense for it to be Bucky than others. I mean, they had a whole Disney Plus show together, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So maybe that's kind of why he was the one that was chosen for it, but at the same time, I could care less. Anything else you wanted to mention about the movie?
Mm, I think that wraps it up enough.
Alrighty. So that was our discussion on Brave New World, Captain America. We have plenty of other ones coming out in the near future, so stick around for those. We got some exciting movies this summer, definitely. I think next week we got The Monkey, so I'm looking forward to that. That's got some actually pretty good ratings so far. I have no idea what that movie's about, but I'm looking forward to it. If you enjoy these type of videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Drop us a like if you like the video, and drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts on the new Captain America movie. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.